Okay. I'm going to just keep this in my hand for now, and it helps me focus, I guess. Or hopefully. Focus. That reminds me of... see? Already. I can't help it. Focus. If you ever watch Dwayne Johnson's Instagram videos, when he works out, like, he does this thing, he gets into his reps and stuff like that, and he must, like, if he gets off of what he's doing, he, like, refocuses himself and just shouts, "Focus!" And I guess a lot of people, that really freaks them out in the gym. But, I don't know why that came to mind. Oh, focus. Forgive me. You ever watch The Fisher King? That's one of my top 5 movies of all time. So, there we go. I'd say that's probably number 5. Yeah, if I could quickly in my head think of 5 movies, bang, 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 that would probably be in the top 5. I don't know if it's number 5. Maybe in the next video we'll do my top. And if you haven't seen them and you like other things that I've recommended in the past, you can go see them. Now let's focus. That's a great song by Wheat. I don't think it's on anything. I don't know where I got it. Might have been Ricky Brennan gave me some CDs once. I can't remember. I wish I did, but that was a good song. I really like that song. Thumbs up, guys. Good job. Piercings. We're going to start it with piercings. We're going to talk about Alan Rabolo, who is now married to Carrie Gallagher, and they have 2 boys, I believe. He used to come over our house, and with me and him, we traded, I think. I never had money. I was so poor and broke. Well, I'm still poor and broke. So much changes, but you know what? Whatever. Money's nothing. You know, in life, what are they going to do? You know, have a good time. So, he used to come over and do all his piercings. Well, not all of them, but a lot of them out of my house. Like, I've seen up close and personal a lot of people get pierced. Let's see. The first one he did for me was my labret. That was the first thing in the morning. Literally the first thing in the morning. We had all crashed at probably 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning. People drinking, smoking, pilling it up, whatever. And I remember they'd be like, "So you gonna do this today or what?" Because I kept putting it off. I'm like, "Well, I want to be able to eat tonight for supper because we're supposed to have this," and it was something else. And finally I was like, all right, I really want a labret piercing. I think it's a fun piercing, and I like the way it looks. So I woke up, probably about the crack of 10, and I think Gary had already gone to get coffee or something like that, and they were back. He's like, "Hey, don't drink that if you want to do your piercing this morning." I'm like, oh. He's like, I can't remember what he said, but I was pretty much, all right, let's do this. Let's get this over with or whatever. And so I went and had to go rinse out my mouth, which sucked because I was like, oh, I want to enjoy my coffee. And then I had a cigarette. I had to rinse my mouth again. And then he put the what are those things called? I want to say forceps, but I don't think that's right. Nonetheless. And then he put the cork. He was like, "You ready?" I was just like, "Yeah." And it was quick, and it was pretty pain-free. Like, yeah, I didn't really feel it too bad. It hurt, it stung, like somebody's driving a hollow needle through your lip that's taking a piece of you away. That's the funny thing about piercings, too, when I think about piercings. Like, part of you is gone and rotting like some trash heap somewhere. Like, whatever. It's not a big deal. Like, you get a piercing, and it will close, because mine's closed now. Actually, I could probably put, like, sometimes at work I put a paper clip through it. I know that's so hygienic. I haven't done it in a long time. I used to do it just to freak people out. And then, so yeah, that was my morning that morning. And then, Chris Hamlin took me out to eat lunch. I don't know why. That's a rare occurrence. But see, he's a guy that, some people may have a problem with, but I don't. Like, he never wronged me, and he has always been a good friend. Like, for whatever reason, he had money at the time, so he took me out to eat. at Friendly's because they had the Funyun burger that had just come out, and I wanted to try it. And it was so tough because it was that afternoon of the morning I had gotten pierced. So piercings and Listerine. I mentioned that earlier, and I want to explain why. My house stunk like Listerine for months. You son of a bitch. Anyone who got any oral piercing, a tongue, a labret, a lip piercing, you have to keep rinsing, so germs don't build up, so you keep it clean, and it heals better that way, and so on and so forth. The problem is like, I lived with a bunch of clumsy slobs, and like, they would carry around their cups because they didn't want to go all the way to the bathroom to have to spit, so they'd have their Listerine. Gary was the worst. He'd keep it in his mouth for a while, and he'd spit it into this cup. All night. And this is multiple people. I mean, we're talking 5, 6, 7 people had cups doing this because nobody wanted to go to the bathroom, which was probably like 22 steps away. I wish I could do a video and count my steps. If anybody wants to break into 85 Winthrop Street, I can't advise it because that's probably criminal to suggest it. But if anybody wants to count the steps if you're going from the chill room to the bathroom, I mean, that's what? I mean, 12 steps at the most. Like, God forbid. But nonetheless, everybody's spitting, and so it was even worse when it would spill because you'd have a cup of spitty Listerine all over the rug, and no one was cleaning that. I mean, I guess technically it cleaned itself, but I mean, things didn't get clean. Which is leading me to my next tale from the chill room. And by the way, I want to say thanks, Tanya, for, being excited about the tales for the chill room. And this one goes out to you. So, I don't know if you ever bore witness to this or not, but me and Gary, there's a little switch. There's, and sometimes in life, and I'm not going to give you my opinion of Gary Rigo anymore because I don't have the breath for it. But, there was definitely some kindred spirit there. Like, how when you meet somebody, it was kind of like, maybe not to the extreme of when I met Corey or, Sean or Jen or something like that. But, with Gary, there was definitely something different. It was like, we connected, immediately. The first night I went down to try out for Lunch Meat Circus. And I met Mario for the first time. And I tried out singing. And I remember, feeling terrified going to try out to sing for another band again because, and don't take this personally, guys, anybody who was in Hewlett Miller, but I remember, being asked to leave the band, and it was such a profound moment because I was like, I'm a good singer. I don't know. Nonetheless, I apologize. I don't want to make this awkward or comfortable for anybody ever because I'm, almost 40 now. That was, 20 years ago. And so, but it had an effect on me that I kept singing, obviously, but I was so terrified to try out for bands. I was like, maybe I'm not as good. How when you watch American Idol and somebody gets up and sings and they think they're the greatest thing and they're just god awful. I started thinking that way for the longest time. I was just like, oh man. And so I went down to try out, and just immediately when I met Gary at Kentucky Fried Chicken he was working at the time in Rainhill, we drove back to Mario's house, and we tried out for the first. Well, I didn't try out. I listened to them play. They recorded it. They gave me a tape. I went home either for a week or two and listened to it and wrote melodies and lyrics and went down and tried out. And the rest is history, obviously. But from that day, there was he came by that Friday night. I said, "Oh, you want to hang out sometime? Me and Corey hang out all the time in my house." Blah blah blah. Him and I met for the first time. That is a video on its own. I gotta write that down. Out. The Goo Man cometh. Gary and Paul Audette came to my house that Friday night for the first time. Both of them just showed up with beer galore. I remember Paul Audette was the strangest guy I'd ever met. He wasn't he's not a very weird looking guy unless you know him. Like, if you're walking down the street and you walk by him and be like, ah, that's a weird guy, whatever. But, like, when you get to know him, his personality, it's almost the opposite of what it normally does with a person. It made him weirder looking. And he's not, I mean, incredibly weird looking. But they came to my house that Friday night, got hammered. Gary drove home and left Paul Audette, who, I don't know this guy at all. Like, the goo man. Over the course of that night, and I don't want to say too much because this really is a video on its own. The Goo Man likes to take songs and change the words in a song, usually like 60s like classic rock, 70s classic rock songs, to disgusting, vile lyrics, like just usually very sexual in nature too. That was the Goo Man. Okay, so I'm not gonna say anything about him, but like. From that day on, it was kind of like me, him, and Corey. Like for a few summers, it was just like us just driving and doing crazy shit and stuff like that. Well, Gary, it was weird. We had this thing where I don't know. Yeah, I don't even know how it started. But one day, we'll start with the peas. Should we go with the milk? We'll go with the peas. Gary opened a can of peas. He knew I liked cold peas out of a can, and we never had food. And I knew we had like 2 cans of peas, and I was so excited because I was like, well, one day I at least have cold peas if I have nothing else to eat. And so he opened them up, and I was like, whatever, if he's going to eat them, that's fine. I mean, everybody needs food in this house. And so he dumped them over his head. This is like while we're all just doing something. Like, he's there, he's present, he's not making a spectacle of himself until he does this. And then it was kind of like, this is going to sound stupid, but our eyes met for just a moment. And I was like, well, it's on. And then I grabbed, I don't know what I grabbed. It was a gallon of milk. And I started just covering the room in a gallon of milk. And he's on his knees, rubbing his hair, his long hair, through the peas, grinding it into the carpet, and I'm pouring milk everywhere. It's just going everywhere. And like this was what became of like us living together. Like, and that's not an uncommon thing to happen. Like, we did that a lot. Cereal, whatever. Like, I remember walking around on the carpet and it's just being crunchy for a good like 2 days until it went stale, and nobody cleaned it. Eventually it got cleaned up, I think. I don't know. But it's just, I don't know. I don't know if we did it to entertain people, or it was just this, like, creature you have to let out every now and again. I don't know. But that's my piercing, Listerine, Gary, making a mess, chaos. That's that story. Like, I mean, I could get into a few more specifics here and there, but I'm not going to, because those are the best stories. Those are the epic ones. Those are the big ones. So at 13 minutes, so let's see, it's probably about 30, 40 minutes I'm done today. Carol's still out, so I'm definitely going to do another one. I just hope it's coherent enough tonight. So if you want to check out another one tonight, tomorrow, this week, next year, doesn't matter. They're going to be up here. I'll be here for a while. Go make somebody smile, and I will see you when I see you next. Okay? Have a good time.